Video number 39. Number 39.1. I experienced visioning with my dad. He was home dying from small cell lung cancer. A couple of days before he died, he was sitting on the edge of his bed facing the wall motioning for someone to come to him. I asked him who was there. He told me, they want me to come to them. I told them to come here. I kind of laughed because that was so him. One day he was sitting at his spot at the dining table looking outside. He asked me when he could go home. I asked him if he meant home with his mom and dad. He kind of looked again and sort of focused and said never mind. Later he told me he didn't know where he was until he looked again and saw some bricks he recognized. I'm thankful I got to spend time with him at the end. As hard as it was watching him go like that, I wouldn't change it for anything. Number 39.2. This happened with my grandmother. One day she reached her arms out, smiled big, and said my grandfather's name with the most love in her voice. He died many years before she did, so it was especially touching. Number 39.3. My brother died of cancer several years ago, and a few days before he was admitted to hospice, I was one of his caregivers. He saw people in the room that I did not see. He heard music I did not hear. He told me that he had talked with our mother and a neighbor of his from a few years prior, both deceased. This was during the last month of his life. Number 39.4. My mom kept asked, "Am I dying right now? Is this it?" Total panic. Lungs couldn't breathe anymore and her brain was perfect. She raised up from lying flat on back with arms up in air and kept reach up for something or someone. Was it hallucinations? Seconds later she stopped breathing. Smoking kills. Number 39.5. My cousin died when we were both 10. He told his mom that Jesus was there in the room. She said it's okay, you can go with him. And that's when he died. I am an atheist, but I surely do hope Jesus came for my cousin. Number 39.6. One of my grandmothers died in a hospital out of state after a brief illness. Her daughter and daughter's husband, my aunt and uncle, were with her as much as possible. My grandma looked up toward a corner of the hospital room and had a really beautiful smile on her face. My aunt asked her what she was looking at and my grandma said, "I see Jesus and the family." My grandma was the youngest of 7 children and the last to die. Number 39.7. My mom was not talking or interacting the last couple weeks before she died. While I was in her room at the nursing home, out of the blue she said in a very clear voice, "Hi Daddy." She died a few days later and it gave me comfort knowing she could see her dad. Number 39.8. My dad saw his deceased mother at the foot of his bed. When he passed, he came to my daughter in a dream. A bright light at the window woke her up and he came through the light, wearing a white robe. She said the light didn't hurt her eyes. He came over to the bed, hugged and kissed her. Said he'd always be with her, that he loved her, and he'd see her in the morning. That morning was his funeral. She was 7, and at 33 she remembers every second of it. Please subscribe, like and share with anyone that needs these comforting stories. Search for my related book on Amazon using the title of 4,000 Deathbed Visions Stories. Sincerely, Ken.